Unfortunately, mowing season's just around the corner. Fortunately, that's the same as lake season. We need to get our mower serviced up. So first things first, collect all the things we need to get that done. So let's go. Ready for Tractor Supply? Get some treats? Oh, you know the deal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We definitely don't need any of that junk. Let's see. Oh. All right, this is the shorter version. They're both 49065s you can choose, but this is a little bit 0721 is the shorter one, which is fine because we change our oil regularly. Also, get a set of these for our transmission filters. For our engine, 1040. It's awful hard to find this stuff, to be honest with you. What's even harder to find is this 25W50. Luckily, it was on the shelf at O'Reilly. As I'm sure you've seen in the description, we're servicing our Exmark Radius X-Series mower. I think this has a 48 or 52 inch deck or something like that. But one thing I do know for sure, it's got this Kawasaki FX engine, and you can almost not give me a mower without a Kawasaki engine in it, especially nothing with that Briggs & Stratton junk. I've had bad luck with it. This engine has held up very well. It's quiet and makes plenty of power. We can treat this thing like a brush hog or a bush hog if you're from the South. I think I've had it like 5 years now, and it's at 206 hours, so I like to change this transmission fluid every 100 hours and change the engine oil every season. Typically at the end of the season, but things just got away from me. We're gonna fix that today. I thought it was super cool to drain the oil on this engine. Exmark gives you this hose that's connected to the drain plug, so you can just put your drain pan underneath, which is just awesome, until you have to change the filter, and then it just runs all over the deck anyway. There is a tiny little trough right there that if you can put a bag or something under it to try to catch what you can, I don't know, good luck, I guess. You'll need a couple of 11/16 wrenches to get this plug loose. Also, you can use 18 millimeter. I know not everyone's got duplicates of every size wrench, so if you've got a metric and a standard set, kind of handy that you could use both. A pro tip, let your engine run a little while before you go doing this to let it get thin. It drains much faster. If you see what happened there, I just loosened the oil fill cap, and that allows a little bit of ventilation so it can drain a little quicker as well. So while that's draining, I put just a splash of oil in our filter, which is right here, and rubbed a little bit along the seal. Now I'm gonna attempt to put these bags under this. Probably use a Ziploc or something a little more waterproof, but chances are you're gonna spill it anyway, so just get over it. Main thing is have this new filter ready to go and handy. So if you're making this a quick change scenario, little to no delay. I like to keep a couple old t-shirts that I got suckered into buying off the internet. Keep them around for things like this. Another general rule of thumb that I have is every time you go buy the stuff you need to do an oil change, buy a can of brake cleaner. Because inevitably the one that you kept on the shelf was almost empty when you stopped using it last. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have washed this thing off real good before I got started on it, but it's hard to be smart and this tall. It's recommended that once you get the oil filter screwed on until it makes contact with the gasket, you turn it a half turn more. but that always makes me a little uncomfortable if it just easily made that half turn. So I turned it till it just kind of is difficult to use just my fingertips. This is about finished by now, so we can go ahead and put our plug back in. Just a little snug. Now with this fill tube the way it is, you technically don't need to use a funnel if you've got the patience to wait for it to pour out of this quart. Sometimes when you use a funnel, you get a little overzealous and pour it so fast that it comes back up the fill tube and burps out anyway. Like that. All right, here's the next quart. You know, I don't care what you read on the internet or what you see on YouTube, regardless of what someone tells you the capacity of one of these engines is, don't ever put 100% of that in there and then check it. Always do your best to play it safe. Put a more than reasonable amount of oil in there. And then let it run just for a few seconds so you know it filled up the filter. And then worry about getting your oil level correct. In case you're like me and you don't really care about reading instructions, it says right on the dipstick tube that the way to check these is to just put them in until it touches thread. You can see we're actually showing that we're making contact in the oil right now with just that quart and a half. Reading just at the bottom, so this would be full. Feel pretty safe. Go ahead and finishing out the rest of this quart. Put us in optimal operating range. And I think if I remember correctly, reading on the internet, everybody said 2.2 quarts. So I don't know where that math came from because this thing's going to be completely happy with just 2 quarts. Also, I looked all over in the parts store the other day and I couldn't find 0.2 quarts anywhere. Oh yeah, right at the bottom of the full line. And that's with oil up in the engine from recently being ran. Not 2.2 quarts, people. Engine oil and filter is complete. I do have an air filter on the way. They don't carry that in the stores locally, so I did have to order that on Amazon. Now I'm gonna put it up on jack stands, secure this thing, and I'll probably pull the wheels off just for ease of you guys being able to see what we're doing when it comes time to change the fluid in the transmissions. Okay, I'm extremely frustrated. While doing the editing, I realized I have none of the footage from changing these filters out, which is, again, frustrating. So here's a quick and dirty, again, and I apologize. There are 3 of these bolts. They take a 3/8 socket, so they're like 1/4-inch bolts. There's one here on the front, and then these 2 on the back. Both sides basically just mirror of each other. Filters just screw on, just like an oil filter on an engine. And then put some oil on the gasket of your new filter until it makes contact and tighten to 1/2 to 3/4 inch of a turn, or 3/4 of a turn is all I could get done. And I'll put the part number on the screen for these because you guys saw that I bought those from that package at Tractor Supply, and they are the same part number that came on these transmissions from the factory. The other footage that was missing is explaining this side port plug, which basically is, I don't know, kind of like a vent almost. When you start filling your transmission fluid from the top in that expansion tank, it will run out of these openings where these plugs were. Then you put the plugs back in to continue filling. All right, got our 2550. See, according to the instructions, it's going to take a couple of quarts a piece. So you might as well just buy one of these 5-quart jobbies. We're just gonna fill this expansion tank and then wait. Lucky for us, this 25W50 is real lightweight, so it'll flow through here real fast. According to this jug, I don't think you guys can see it. Yeah, it looks like I have used less than 3 quarts, because I think it's, yeah, quarts on that side, liters on the other. Yet, oil is flowing out of one of the transmissions. Now, should have been smart, get the drain pan under it, but again, hard to be smart in this tall. So if you look at the routing, this hose drops this fluid straight into this gearbox, and then it makes this 90 and goes across this hose into the other one. So I guess it's just logical that this side would fill up first. So I'm gonna put the plug in it, and then we'll wait out the other one. The expansion tank drains much slower now that the right-hand transmission is full. So I'm guessing because of these 90-degree turns and such, must take a little longer for it to get into this other transmission. It's happening. All right, let me get this plug in there. According to the chart on the side of our jug, that used just under 4 quarts of oil, including the seepage or spillage that we had, which wouldn't be much, but it might measure on that sight glass. Both plugs are in. We're supposed to just fill this expansion tank now to the cold line, keeping in mind some of it has to fill the hoses up and the top portion of the transmission. It'll probably have to burp a little, so this could take some time to get an accurate measurement. And I will say, I've ran this mower for apparently 206 hours, and I've never seen this oil come up when it's hot. So you're probably pretty safe if you overfill this a little ways. Don't sweat it, it's not gonna come burping out of the cap. So I went ahead and added a little bit more fluid in the expansion tank, and I'm just gonna take this cap, thread it on there until it just barely snugs and stop. Now to do this purging procedure, I'm gonna have to open these bypass valves, which has one on each side. It's easy to see here, this little knob that you loosen, and then you grab this little lever right here, pull it back, and that is basically saying don't make power with this transmission fluid pressure, to just let it flow through there. So you got one of those on each side, on these Exmarks anyway. Go ahead and snug that up. Now I'm gonna start the engine, let it reach just a normal idle, and send it full forward and reverse. Just like 4 or 5 times, and then re-engage these bypass valves and do it again. With the system purged now, you did notice the fluid level did go down in our expansion tank, so that's probably good news. It let us know that we got some air out. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more just to put it above the full cold words, and keep an eye on it when I do first start mowing, which probably the first thing I'm gonna be doing is spraying. So I don't know if that's more or less wear on the transmissions, but that's gonna be the first task for this thing. Now, great time to get your tires rotated and balanced while they're off, you know what I'm saying? At least check the tire pressures. Also, you might want to put some Armor All on them to keep the sand from seeping in. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, or if it was helpful, say so down in the comments, like it was helpful or you suck at something. Also, subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy this for almost no mower content whatsoever. I appreciate you guys watching very much, and I'll see you next time in a video that I have no idea what it's gonna be yet.